We celebrate today the feast of Simon and Jude, apostles. We do not know very much about them from the scriptures. As a matter of fact, the name Jude is not mentioned by Matthew and Mark in their list of 12. Instead, they name Thaddeus, which many identify with Jude. Jude is mentioned by Luke in his list, also in his gospel and in the Acts of the Apostles. Simon is called Simon the Cananean or Simon the Zealot to indicate that he also was a disciple of Jesus, even though the Zealots would choose a violent way to overthrow the Romans and secure freedom for the Jews. The point which this feast is making is that Jesus does not call extraordinarily holy people. Jesus does not call extraordinarily talented people. Jesus calls ordinary people. Jesus calls simple people. Jesus calls people who are open to help him in his work. In the gospel text chosen for today, Luke is very clear that Jesus is praying before his choice. The fact that Jesus is praying before his choice means that the choice that he makes is not a random choice, but is a deliberate choice. And if in that deliberate choice he chooses weak individuals, it is because he believed that they were the ones who could help him to further the kingdom, to take the kingdom to where God wanted it to be. Simon and Jude are not regarded specifically as having any specific talent, and therefore it indicates that God's choice is always a free choice. As we hear that these disciples are now 12, 12 is a reflection back to the 12 tribes of Israel. And just as the 12 tribes of Israel were called to be a contrast community, a community set apart, a community which would stand out because of the way they acted, the disciples also are meant to be that contrast community, that community set apart, that light on a hill, the salt of the earth, and the light of the world. And even as the disciples are chosen, Jesus knows that they are frail and that they will fail. Even in their frailty and failure, Jesus gives them his own courage, his own strength, his own fortitude to say that they will never give up, but continue to persevere in being that community. Today, 2,000 years later, every one of us who professes to be a disciple of Jesus is called to the same mission. The mission of being that contrast person so that people look at me and wonder how I can be this way. That people look at me and are inspired by the way I speak and by the way I act, by my life. People are inspired and drawn closer to Jesus because of the person that I am. And there are times when even in my provision of this inspiration, I will fail. I will fall because I am frail, because I am weak. It is in my frailty and my weakness and in my sinfulness the Lord will lift me up and give me strength. That is why I never give up. I never give in. I do not let failure dampen my enthusiasm. I never let a setback get me down. I continue to persevere in the firm hope, in the knowledge that the Lord will see me through. Simon and Jude were weak and yet chosen by the Lord. You and I are also weak and yet chosen by the Lord. Simon and Jude fulfilled their mission as disciples and apostles. Will you fulfill your mission as a disciple and apostle and be that contrast person, be that light on the hill, be that salt of the earth to everyone you meet? A very happy feast of Saints Simon and Jude to all.